Hello everyone. Once again, it's the Psalmist here. Today I just want to speak to you about why me personally, I don't mind when a woman has bleached her skin or is wearing fake hair on her head. You could find a bunch of very educated men, and this educated men always talk about education, always talk about the importance of education, always talk about how uneducated people are useless and stupid. And you're sitting there not being educated and feeling exactly what they're saying. So they're literally saying that you're stupid and useless because you're not educated. So you go out and you get an education. So you can see how a person can react in terms of if people saying that what is you know what is the standard. So if in terms of educated people are saying that education is the standard, you need to have an education. Without an education, you're useless, you're dumb, that. And a person to fix the problem, they go there and get an education. So now what you have you can have today, this is the problem that we're facing now. We have now women on social media, black women, saying that they don't like light skinned guys. You have pictures of black men of light skin being you know presented in a way that is not nice. So what must happen now? Should now light skinned men paint themselves with some dark something to look darker? So you can have people putting you down because of what you have or what you don't have, and then this makes you feel inadequate. And for you to feel adequate or to be part of a group of people, and those people might even be your people in terms of being black and being light skinned, and they're saying that when you're light skinned and they call you names and all that, and then you now have to do something. You have to do something. Because if you don't do anything, you are on the outside. You're excluded. You're an outcast. So now, what must happen? So, for a man without an education, he can get an education. So, what happens when a person, a woman, because it is women who are mostly bleaching their skin, what happens when a woman has dark skin? And then dark skin is looked down upon, frowned upon. It's made to look like it is evil. Men, there are some men who said that they don't like dark skinned women. For the woman to be adequate, to be part of a group of people, whether it's her people or it's just friends or just to be accepted in society, she bleaches her skin. I'm not saying that I agree with that, but what I'm saying is that in life, everything that a person does has a cause. We must not try to say that a person bleaches her skin, she's stupid, or she doesn't, she self-hates. A person has, augmented her chest, and then now she's fake and all that. A person is wearing fake hair, she's fake. No, we must look at the causes of things. And when we look at the causes of things, we may understand. And when we do understand, then we are in a place to correct, to reform, and say, you don't need to do what you did. That is just drastic. You don't have to do that. You can look beautiful in the way that you are, but not coming from a point of saying that I don't want to speak to women of fake hair. I don't want to post, for pictures with women of fake hair because it takes away heritage and all that. What you should do is that from the ground up, the image that you want to promote, the image that you think is good, whether it's good for Africans or for Zulus or for Bedis, present that. Make that look good. This is what happens in advertising, in entertainment. What they do is that if they want to project a certain image in society, they promote it. They take people who are good looking and who are famous and then they push that. So if you want people to change in terms of maybe you think that they're wearing fake hair and it takes away the heritage of Africa, then come up with something in which you're taking women of natural hair and promoting it, and you really put it in people's faces, and you're making people see, look at that. You don't really have to do that, because we are living in a society of bullies. I mean, look at me now. Look at my nose. Do you see how big it is? So if I have a big nose, and then someone comes to me and keep telling me, you have a big nose, you have a big nose, and they really make it in such a way that it becomes irritating, that they put me down. They really want to put me down, to a point that maybe if I was going somewhere and I see that person, now I have to change streets, because I know he's gonna start speaking about my nose. And if this person is someone that I know, in terms of maybe we come from the same you know township, we live in the same street, this can really be a big problem, to a point where I might have to decide to do something about my nose. And if I do have the money to afford the surgery, and I do something about my nose, and somebody who was who knew me before, I did something in my nose, and they see me and they say that, no, look at him. He used to have such a natural nose. Now he has changed his nose because he self-hates, because he wants to be one. But they don't know why I changed my nose. So the point I'm trying to make is that it is very easy to call people names when they bleach their skin, or when they increase their brow size, or their buttock size, for whatever reason. But we cannot come from a place of saying that these are people who are so unnatural, they don't love themselves, they hate themselves, and then we cast them away. That's not how we should be. That's why we're gonna struggle to relate, because everyone has some kind of issues. People can hate you because you're short. People, because we are fallen people, we are fallen creatures, we don't know how to love. We always look at someone looking at what not to love. So you can not like a person because they have bleached skin, or because they have fake hair. But you can avoid any other thing in them which is good. So we are always looking for something not to love. But when you have reason, or when you're looking for things to love, that's when you speak to people. And that's when you can even ask, but Choma, why did you change your skin color? And somebody says, actually, I didn't even change my skin color. It's just, it's, it's a condition. It's been happening for a while now. My whole, dark skin peeled off. Now you know what the cause is. Or maybe it can be for a vain reason. And that reason is like, Trauma, like, I really like this guy. I really like, he was so cute. And then he said that he doesn't date, dark skinned girls. And then I thought, maybe if I could change my skin, I could impress him. And that's when you're able to say, but you, you know, it, maybe you did this thing out of trying to impress a man. But what happens after you bleach your skin? Now he starts saying that, he doesn't like your arms. Your arms are too long, or they are too big. What are you gonna do? Are you gonna fix your arms? And because maybe you're short, what happens when he says that he doesn't like short people? So you're gonna do a lot trying to win this person. But it's a conversation. You did not cut them out because they have fake skin, or because they have fake hair. You spoke to them and they were able to explain to you. No matter how vain a reason is to do something, it is only when we create conversations in which we listen to people, we listen to why they do what they do, and then we give them love in such a way that we make them see that they do not have to do such things. You see how you deal with it. So when I'm saying that I don't mind when a woman bleaches her skin or she has fake hair, I'm not saying that it's right, and I'm not saying that I promote it, but I'm saying that you can find her reasons which can be understandable, even when they're not understandable. You still have to make them see that they did not have to do that. But when you're already from a distance, you're already saying that, no, I don't like that girl because she has fake skin. It will be like me if I change my nose. You're gonna say that you don't like me because my nose is fake, but you don't know why I did it. And you know how people suffer from inferiority complexes, in which for them to feel adequate, they might have to go out of their way to make other people inferior. So someone could actually picking on you, or someone could be picking on my nose, not because they are confident people, just because they don't really feel, you know, content in who they are. So the only way that they could feel important around people is if they are putting someone down. So that person happened to be me. But even that person who's putting me down also needs to be understood. I mean, why do you enjoy putting people down? So it's like when you look at it, you realize that you really cannot put down anyone for any reason. I mean, you could look at a prostitute in the streets and think like, she just decided to go and sell herself. But you don't know the reasons why. Because I'm not saying that there could be any good reason for any woman but to prostitute herself. What happens if a woman is on her way to getting a degree. She's getting a good education. I mean, she's on her way to get a good education. She finds a guy, falls in love, falls pregnant, and the guy leaves. And now, because she doesn't want to abort the baby, and then she doesn't work, and then now the baby is born. What should she do? So she can't find a job, and her relatives don't want anything to do with her. And some are even condemning her and saying, just went out there, run around and having sex. Now you're pregnant. You know how people are. We know these things happen, and we sometimes when a person is suffering, relatives will be saying that they never came, but they don't want the help. They don't want to help that person. In fact, they are gossiping and saying nasty things about her. So she decides that, you know what, I have a child and then I have bills to pay, so I'm gonna prostitute myself. So when you're passing, you're just saying that, ah, these immoral people. But you don't know what the cause. What you should do is that you should come from a place of love, of correction, of reformation, and you go to that person, you help that person. And your love will be able to help you to be able to speak to her to a level where you are a friend, like a family, and you ask her, why are you into prostitution? And she explains and says, I have a child. She tells you the whole story. But because you have decided to do something about what you thought was a problem, you are able to continue showing her love, reforming her, correcting her, and making her realize that she does not need to go through those kind of drastic things to look after herself because you are here. And she will stop. But when you're just judging her from a distance and saying that, she's just immoral, the situation is not going to change. In fact, you're going to get more and more people coming to do it because there's more and more problems. Because sometimes when we see people do drastic things, like a guy can look at a woman and say, she's just too beautiful. I mean, she's not going to give me a chance. So the best thing, if I need to have a chance, I need to have money. But the problem is that he doesn't work. He doesn't have money. So he goes out to steal. So I'm not saying that this is a correct reason or this is correct reasoning. What I'm saying is that he wants to impress her. He's assuming that the woman wants money. But once he gets to know her, he realized that actually she doesn't care about those things. She cares about his character, what he's bringing, what kind of personality is he bringing to her, so that he can make her a better person. The same way as she would be expected to make him a better person, because that's what the relationship is all about. Upbringing one another. So you come from a point where you have strong characters, which your mate, your wife, doesn't have, and then she's gonna learn from that, and then you also learn from her own strength, which is your weakness, and that's how you build her up. So when the guy decides to steal, he's not correct, but he has reasoning. But if he does find out that this woman doesn't care about that, she doesn't have to. So you see, we can look at a person who has bleached their skin and say that it's self-hate because we have a bad history with white people, or we can look at it as maybe she's just not content and then she's trying to be something that society can accept. But you go to her, and then you make her content, and she doesn't have to do this thing anymore. Just like if a person does not have an education, but has some kind of talent in sport or in music, and then because the educated people are, saying that, he's useless because he doesn't have an education, but you go there while he's feeling small and you say, but you're a talented singing. Why don't you sing? And then he sings and then he makes something of himself. Now he doesn't really need to have an education. But in terms of looking from far and making judgment, we are wrong. And I'm telling you, even now, look, the Most High God, being perfect in His ways, being righteous in all that He does, took deplorable people, people who are the outcasts of society, people who are rejected in society, and clean them up and make them His children and give them all of the kingdom. So what God has done is that He's seen that we're doing something wrong, but He changes us in His good way. So even when someone is a rapist or a murderer or a serial killer or any other thing or a prostitute, the things that we think that shouldn't be in society, we want to cut people off. We have no place trying to say that that person should be casted out, that person should be hated. I'm not saying that there shouldn't be a rule of law, and I'm not saying that there shouldn't be any court proceedings, and I'm not saying that people should be sentenced for their crimes. What I am saying is that as society, we should come from a place of reformation. And you cannot reform if you do not understand what is wrong. When you understand what is wrong, then you go to the roots and you fix it. And then prisons will start to be empty. But if every time a person does a crime, we throw in jail, every time, I mean, let us not act as if people don't know their prisons, people don't know their police, people don't know they're going to get arrested. The question we should be asking ourselves is this: what will drive a man or a woman knowing that what they have done or what they are about to do is not going to end well? They're going to be in jail. They're going to lose everything that people who are not in jail can do. But they still do it. That means there is something. But when we from far just say, oh, no, he's a serial killer, he's evil, he's a monster, then society won't change. A monster, the serial killer knows that there's jail. He knows that he can die, he can be killed by by electrocution in America, but he still does it anyway. So that means there's something inside him that is making him do it. So and then we must come to reform and look at that thing and address it. And when we address it, then that's how you change society. So in terms of people bleaching their skin, we should find out why. You can't just say lack of confidence. What causes that person to have lack of confidence? Do you know that the young men and young women right now killing themselves because they are rejected, because they are called names, derogatory names, and they hang themselves because no one loves them. Even in terms of kids, I mean, we live in a day where both the man and the woman are working. You know, the wife works and the husband works. And what you get is that now the child has what? Is by herself because she's back from school. The mother and the father still at work. So what does she have? She has a laptop and a cell phone and the internet, and was on the internet. So the child now is gonna go to the internet and she sees a celebrity woman who has lots of followers, and then the celebrity woman or any other woman for that matter posts a very provocative picture, and then when she looks, there's 500,000 likes and there's 200,000 comments. And she thinks this is what you have to do to get love. But from a parent point of view, that's not the kind of child you want your child to be. You don't want your child to be posting promiscuous pictures of herself. But because no one is watching her and guiding her and showing her the right way, the good way, the godly way, the righteous way, so she does these things. So when you see a young woman dressed in such a way that is provocative in the streets, and you say, Ash, the modern day girl is just loose, she just doesn't have any moral. But you don't understand what's the cause. But the cause is that children these days are not being washed. So everything has a cause. Bleached skin, fake hair, increasing your bra size, provocative dressing, murder, everything has a cause. The only time you can really reform and change society is when you look at the cause. Why do women bleach their skin? Why do women, wear fake hair? You don't do something that after you have said it, immediately just cut them off and say, I don't want to post with any woman with fake hair. I don't want any woman with fake hair to sit next to me. That's cutting people off. And once you cut them off, you're saying that they can keep on doing what they're doing. You're going to have people who are going to agree with you, but those ones who are already doing what they're doing, you can't help them because you've already cut them off, because they're going to feel like you judge them because you don't know. Maybe their hair breaks, because some women, when they comb their hair, when they try to grow their hair, when it goes to a certain length, it breaks. So when they comb their hair, it gets stuck in the hair. So in the comb. So what they do is that they think the best way is just to wear fake hair. But if you don't know that, you're just saying that you don't want to speak to anyone with fake hair, then you can't really change. You can't really have an impact on society. And I tell you, there's nothing greater than listening to a person. Even if you were to find out a person raped a child or, killed hundreds of people, if you can go there to just listen and say why, and from a posture of saying that I'm not coming here to judge you, I just want to know your reason. And if that person gives you their reasons, that's when you're able to address the reason. So the reason why I don't have any problem with women with fake hair and bleached skin or fake body parts, because it could be a very temporal reason, but the cause of it could be something that I can do something about, and then she might end up being the only one who has to bleach his skin or wear fake hair, because we can start talking about it and making children understand that they have to be content in the natural things, the natural bodies that God has given them. And in that way, that's how you reform society. You reform society from a point of trying to find out the root cause of the things which are wrong in society and doing things to fix them so that they do not repeat themselves. And we're going to have a society where people can relate and work together and rejoice together. Thank you for listening.